All right, so recently I've been practicing working on a deeper pocket with more wrist curl to improve my spin and also see if it helps with my speed. And the cue I've been using is to curl the disc towards the armpit to get to a deeper pocket. I didn't make a tech disc test video on this, but I did upload a couple throws with tech disc stats in a video to my form progression playlist. And I've just been kind of busy, so that's why I didn't make a full tech disc test video on it. But then I got to thinking I wanted to compare that to something else, and that's what this video is about. So I'll include the deep pocket throws at the end of this video and compare the stats. So in this video, what I thought about trying is once I get to the back, fully reached back and my brace is about to land, instead of immediately trying to pull into the armpit and curl the disc, just think only about wrist curl. Just curl the disc with the wrist and don't try to do anything else. Don't think about pulling. And then as the rotation starts happening, the elbow naturally wants to bend already. So kind of like keeping the wrist curl part the same, but one of them is pulling, like as much as I can right away to try to get to a deep pocket, and the other is not trying to pull much at all. Of course, I have muscle memory for pulling and whatnot, so I'm probably doing it to a certain degree, but it's still interesting to see. So I've heard that some pros say that they don't really feel like they're using their arm much in their throw, and this is one possibility, which is, as you're starting to rotate, the elbow naturally wants to bend, and so you can just let that happen and just curl the disc into the pocket, and then it'll kind of sling out. Another possibility, or it could be some of both, is of course as you get better at things and stronger, it starts to feel easier and easier, and so it can be pretty easy to feel like you're not putting in much effort, but you've just gotten so used to it and it's become so easy that it feels effortless. So it's probably a little bit of both, but that's kind of part of the idea of why I wanted to try this. Just curl the disc and let the rest of the stuff happen and see how that compares to when I'm really trying to drive the elbow forward and get into a deeper pocket. In both of these, when I was trying to drive it deeper and just curl the wrist and then let the kind of pocket form naturally, I wasn't focused on trying to get any particular nose angle, but I was getting nose down. So either that's my muscle memory from practicing nose angle so much before, which you can see in the other tech disc test videos, or something about the wrist curl maybe is just naturally promoting easier access to nose down, or some of both, of course. All right, so my final thoughts on how these both feel. Um, in the one where I'm focused less on pulling and just curl the wrist and let the pocket kind of happen on its own, it feels really good and maybe more powerful with less effort. It might not be more powerful, but in these stats compared it was, with more focus on pulling. I have hit the same speeds here, but on this day, I was hitting those higher speeds a little bit more often, so it could also just be a different day and being a little bit stronger on one day versus the other. I did try this on the course, but it was my first time trying it, and I was kind of yanking some, misreleasing, but I don't think that's really anything indicative of the form change itself. I think it's just me being inconsistent at implementing it because I didn't practice it very much. During these throws into the net, the disc was going where I was aiming it. So I think as I get better with it, that will resolve itself. They both felt good, but it is interesting that I got more speed with kind of the same effort slightly without trying to pull all the way deep. So I think I'm going to switch over to working on this for a while and then go back to trying to pull into the deeper pocket and, go back and forth a little bit after giving each a decent amount of time to try to see where I want to land at. My spin was also, both of these things boosted my spin, mostly I think because of focusing on the wrist curl in both of them. Interestingly, I did get more nose down with the less pulling. I have gotten similar nose down stats with focusing on pulling deeper with wrist curl, so it could just be a this day versus the other day sort of thing, but it was coming pretty easily today with less focus on pulling. Version and what else? Oh, something else that this makes me think of wanting to try is kind of like a hybrid in between the two, which is when I get to the peak reach back and my brace is landing, curl the wrist, let the elbow naturally bend, and then try to pull through deeper towards the armpit, rather than as soon as my brace lands, trying to curl the wrist and pull deep straight away from the get-go. Initially, for a long time, I've always been pulling right away because to me it's felt like it's helped me correct and avoid the horizontal shoulder collapse because the arm gets ahead of the rotation, and so you're able to more easily maintain that shoulder angle, prevent it from collapsing, whereas if you rotate right away, you get this horizontal shoulder collapse where your kind of bicep is coming into your chest. But maybe now it's not much of an issue anymore because I have enough muscle memory to kind of keep this engaged to where even if I don't try to pull right away, it stays engaged and prevents the collapse. Part of what helps with that, I find, is pushing the elbow away from your chest. This also creates more space for the disc. It's called scapular protraction. It's like bear hug. Helps kind of curl the disc in more as well. That kind of gets this engaged and helps naturally prevent some of the shoulder collapse as well. So having some of that muscle memory now, I think, is allowing me to experiment with other things and not have to pull so much right away to avoid the shoulder collapse. So might try that different kind of hybrid timing in a future test. It's a little bit counterintuitive because a lot of people say you want to get the arm ahead of the rotation, and then this would be, just letting the arm naturally form the power pocket and then later on trying to pull it through, maybe get some, like add on some last
This could
second
have even been what was
acceleration,
happening
explosiveness
in
type
this
of
test
thought.
here, maybe, where I was focusing on not pulling as much initially, but once the pocket got formed, maybe I had a natural instinct or some muscle memory that, then led me to start pulling at that time, and maybe that's why I was able to get um, some pretty good speeds for me. But I'll have to wait and see when I try testing this timing more directly if anything changes.